Welcome, welcome, my lovelies. Thank you for joining me. Just give a few seconds to let everybody's audio kick in. So thank you for joining me. Welcome, everyone. Today's practice of Yin will be honoring the spring equinox. So we'll be continuing our spring series. So for your practice, as always, you can practice Yin without any props. That's, but I like to have props because I just like it, because it just helps me to feel a little bit more supported. It means that I don't have to work as hard. Not that there's anything wrong with working hard in Yin, but my kind of practice of Yin at the moment is a very restorative approach. And then it might change once we come out of lockdown. For the moment, this is what I need. So I often go by what feels right for me, because as your teacher, I want to feel comfortable in the practice that I have, and always believe very strongly in teaching what I know, teaching the things that I can experience, the things that I feel comfortable in, that I feel expert in. So I don't want to teach you a practice that doesn't resonate with me at this time of year where we are. So if you do have props available, please make generous use of them. Your bolster or a large pillow, cushions, 2 small cushions, a couple of folded blankets, blocks. Just grab whatever's near you on the sofa or on the bed. So let's come into our comfortable seat. So you could be sitting on your block. One of the things that I find really helps me, and I'm just going to turn so you can see here. So sometimes I sit on the block, just right on the end. Sometimes I actually sit on the earth, but I have the block or folded blanket just so that it supports me at my tailbone. So I'm not sitting on it, but it's almost as if I can feel that there supporting my tailbone. And that just reminds me to sit tall. So sometimes you don't even need to sit on something. Just having something that's present there will remind you and remind your body to come into a tall spine in which you're creating space. So heart is open, shoulders are down and away from your ears. Let's bring our thumb and index fingers to touch. Place our hands on our knees, palms either down or palms face up, whatever feels comfortable for you. So see how you feel. I'm going to have my palms up for today, I think, for the moment at least. Closing your eyes. Coming into this moment of stillness on your mat. This point of transition or an equilibrium between what was and what will be. We are in this moment in what is, this present moment awareness. So nowhere to go, nothing to do, no one to please. Just be in this moment. In this moment between the equal day, equal night. At this point of balance within the wheel of the year. The equinox. And here, our practice for today is to invite the sense of equilibrium. To honor the pagan celebration or festival of Ostara. This ancient wisdom common to many indigenous cultures around the world. So Ostara is a European pagan belief. And in the same way, wherever spring is around the world, this is a period of renewal, of rebirth, where the light is on the rise and green grows over the winter, leaving behind the dark, the cold of winter, embracing the light, the warmth of spring. Three more breaths here. Coming into this present moment. This abundant period of the year in which new beginnings grow, life is reborn. Inhale, bring your hands in prayer, namaskar at the heart. Let's open our practice by chanting Om 3 times. And for each Om, allow the Om to vibrate deeply within the heart space. Inhale fully. Om. 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 Honoring your own traditional wisdom that comes with the change in season. Opening your eyes and releasing your hands. So let's start with some tapping today. And again, when we're working with spring, the element is wood. So in terms of the five theories of TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, spring is associated with wood. And so thinking about the quality of wood and trees, particularly in plants, and how they grow and go through the cycles. And spring is an abundant period in which the shoots, the green shoots, the cherry and apple blossom are beginning to spring forth. And wood has that quality of strength, yet also the delicacy of these beautiful blossoms. And the meridians most closely associated with this season are the liver and gallbladder meridians. So we work with those regularly. They are two paired up complementary meridians that help us to release and let go and to embrace. So release and let go some of the darker emotions, the ones that perhaps take us into the shadows of our feelings, which we are invited to explore, but also then to move away and recover and heal from those emotions. So the gallbladder meridian helps us give energy and courage to do that, to make the change, to make a decision, a conscious choice to move forward, to leap forward into spring. So by tapping, what we'll do is, let's start with the liver. And what I want you to do is bring your left foot or right foot out. And so the liver meridian starts in the big toe. So I'm just going to sit back a little bit so you can definitely see my foot. Starts in the inside edge of the big foot. So if you take your finger or your thumb and take it between the big toe and the second toe and just slide it along the top of your foot, in between the two bones, the two metatarsals of that foot. And then you'll find a sort of soft spot here. And I don't know if you can see it on my foot where I'm showing it to you. So it's just there. And you'll feel it. It's soft. it's tender. So you can either press it and hold your thumb or your index pressed on it for about 45 seconds. And if it begins, so for me, I can feel it, that it feels really tender. So this is liver 3. And we're applying pressure here at this point in order to let go, to release. This meridian, the liver meridian, runs from the big toe along the inside of our legs and then in through the abdomen and to the liver. And this meridian is responsible for the emotions of anger, frustration, rage, resentment. And so that's when it's out of flow, when it's out of balance. But when it's in balance, then those emotions are counterbalanced so that we can feel able to move in and out of those emotions without those emotions overwhelming us. And those emotions are all powerful emotions. They tell us about where change needs to happen. So then releasing. And then let's go to the other foot for the moment. And again, just slide your fingers between the big toe and the second toe, between the two metatarsals of those, onto the top of your foot. And then you'll find a spot that feels quite tender. So it's usually before the bones start coming together. And then just press in that area again for 45 seconds. Now, on my other foot, where we did press already, I can actually still feel that. It feels quite tender there. So I don't know if you can still feel something there. And then we'll leave that for 45 seconds. And then perhaps you just want to rub both with your thumb, just rub that area gently. So from the inside of the big toe along that space between the two toes along the foot. There we go. Now the second point for the liver, which I want us to tap today, is here at the rib cage. So the liver meridian comes along the big toe, along the inside of the leg, weaves its way here into the abdomen through the liver, and sort of ends up in the lungs from kind of around where the liver is. So if you can feel your rib cage here, so find your rib cage, so in line with your nipples, and then find the ribs there, and then begin to tap here. So you can tap with folded knuckles or with the tips of your fingers, depending on how it feels for you. So let's just tap there on the ribs, not the abdomen, the ribs, so that it feels firm. And if you tap around in that area, you'll begin to stimulate the liver meridian, activate it through tapping. And what we're doing by letting go of self-doubt, of anger, frustration, we replace that with a sense of acceptance, a sense of being, a sense of flow, a sense of confidence. So by letting go of these emotions, by removing it, just think of the calm after the storm. So after a stormy night, and the calm, and when the birds start singing again. So this is what in your mind, if you can create this image of what follows a stormy night, the rising sun, the singing of the bird song, the warmth of the day, and you can see what the storm, what damage or the storm has done, but it's a new day, it's a new beginning, it's a chance to rebuild, a chance, an opportunity to see the potential, the possibility of a new dawn, a new day. And that's the point we're at between winter and spring here. And then finally, where we want to go here is now we want to move to the gallbladder. So the gallbladder is the yang of this pairing. Yin is the cooling the cooling energy that we're inviting in, that is constantly turned on. The yang is what we can flare in and out of. We can go in and out of it. So for the gallbladder, take your 2 peace fingers and tap on either side of your eyes. So just at the outer edges of your eyes, that socket there. And the gallbladder is responsible for courage and sense and judgment, good sense, really. So tapping from here, we're going to trace this tapping to the temples, over the back of the ears. So you'll feel your skull around the back of the ears, back of the neck, and then back up, and just sort of, so the way that the gallbladder travels here is it sort of zigzags behind here on our skull, just behind the ear. So we're going to tap a few times round the ear, down towards the neck, and then back up towards the temples, and just slightly move your fingers around in that area. And this will help us to make sound judgments, be clear-headed in how we look forward, have a clear vision about where we're going, so helping to set new intentions. What do we need to do in order to create change, or what do we need to do in order to let go of the past, invite the future? So the gallbladder helps us to make conscious, aware, sound choices and decisions. And then you can go back to the outer eye. And if you want, just for, I love it because I love being underneath my eye, you can do underneath your eye. So today we're not tapping along the whole route or pathway of those meridians. We're just tapping along some of the key points. So thinking about your growth, what it is you want to grow, nourish, after you've let go and released, what is it you're planting in its place? What do you want to open up and embrace? So let's remove the block if you've gone back to sit on your block or folded blanket. Now, let's reach out with the left leg. And keep that right leg folded in. So half butterfly. Now, we're going to reach over towards the left leg. So it's going to be extended side angle. So you can have a bolster or a pillow here, and then place your left elbow. And so you can use your left hand to support your head, support your, wherever you feel like you're resting. So you can cup your hand, or you can fold in your fingers and rest your head there. And then reach up and over with the right hand. Now, for most of us, you know, we'll probably have our right hand somewhere up on our head. Some of us might be able to reach over a little bit more, depending on how flexible we are towards that left foot. What we want to feel is a lateral stretch here. And you can, if you wish, take hold of that left foot. So we're not doing a forward fold, we're doing a lateral stretch here. So you can keep that right hand on the back of your head. Open out that right elbow to the sky if that's where you're choosing to be. Other options are that you can put your elbow on a block. So this is a side bend, a lateral stretch. And we'll be here for a few minutes. And I'm going to give you an option. So your option is to stay here, or your option is to bring up your right knee and place your right foot on the earth. So a bit like Skandasana. So when we do the Skandasana variation in our Chandra Namaskar, so we can bring our right knee up. And you can shuffle that right foot out so that you're opening up along the inside of that right hip and that right thigh. But this will feel more challenging So if that feels too much, you can always bring your foot back. Yogi's choice here. We'll take 10 more breaths here. And notice how your breath is going to probably flow with a little bit of restriction in some parts here because you're in lateral stretch. So it might flow more easily on the right side and feel more constricted on the left. One more breath here. Then inhale, reach over with your right hand down towards the earth. So remember, this right foot can be lifted up or over. And let's do a counter twist over to the left just for a moment. Over to the right, sorry. Left hand goes up and over. And then back to center. Now let's extend the right leg long. So both legs are extended long. So we're in dragonfly here. And again, we're going to forward fold here. So we'll be in different places. You can have your bolster in front of you. You can stack your bolster or large pillow by placing cushions underneath there or placing your blocks underneath it. So if I could do that, I can create a little angle on my bolster. Lengthen here first. And then as you exhale, begin to fold forward. You might reach for your big toe. So if you're reaching for your big toe, give it a little hug. And you can rest your eyebrow center on your bolster or large pillow here. Or you can hang out and just allow your head to fold forward. So remember, we're all going to be in different places here. And if you're folding forward without any props, your crown is reaching forward. So you can really feel the extension on the inside of your thighs here. So this is working deeply on our liver meridian. And the liver meridian and organ are said to be the general of the army. So they're the organizer. The liver helps to filter, to release and let go. So that's often why when we experience different emotions, the way that we might release them is through anger, through irritability, through frustration. Those are a release for emotions. And releasing and letting go helps to create space for the new beginnings, for rebirth, for fresh opportunities, fresh starts, fresh possibilities. And when you can release and let go of anything that is containing you, limiting you, restricting you, or making you feel that you're not at one with yourself, you're not in that place, that state of flow. Once you let go and release, then everything becomes much clearer. And then you feel calmer. You feel as if you're back in a flow, you're back in harmony with yourself. That's why we work on the liver meridian. One more breath here in your forward fold, dragonfly. So releasing your toes if you're holding them. Unfurl your spine, one vertebrae at a time to uncurl and rise up. So you know where we're going. We're going into a side bend over to the right. So let's fold in this left leg, moving really carefully because you've been extending that there for a while. Fold in that left foot. And again, we're going to go over to the right. So you can place a large pillow or bolster on your right leg. You can have a block or something here so you can rest your elbow on it. You can rest your elbow on your leg, whatever you can rest your elbow on. Or you can reach towards that right toe and then reach up and over with your left. So here we're trying to create the stretch here on the left side. So if you don't feel it here, if you don't feel any sensation here, then you're probably leaning over your leg rather than opening your heart. So you can be where you like and what feels comfortable for you. So remember, we are all in different places. So we'll breathe here for a couple of rounds, and then I'll give you the option with that left foot to come in that sort of skandasana variation. Now, if you're ready and you want to bring that left foot up, bend into that left knee and bend the left foot over. But check what's happening on the lateral stretch here, because you want to keep that left side stretch. So I'm just going to rearrange and see what it feels like in different places. It might feel less accessible on one side compared to the other side, and that's not unusual because remember, left and right aren't mirror images, they're not complete parallels. You'll have seen where they take a photo and then cut it in half and then put the two sides of your face together. It never looks the same. You know, I know that one shoe size is bigger than the other shoe size slightly. So we know that there's difference between our left and right sides. Let's have 10 more breaths here. And then when you're ready, let's begin to release that right toe or release the head to come back. And we're going to bring that left hand to the earth and then reach up and over with the right arm just to have a lateral stretch to the other side to balance it out. And then back to center. Let's fold in this leg. We're going to come right onto our knees because we're going to move into child's pose. So if you want to pad your mat, make sure your mat has all the padding, the folded blanket on it. So we're going to come into a wide-legged wide-kneed child's pose. So take your knees as wide as your mat and big toes to touch. And then let's lengthen first. Really connect the big toe into the mat and the second toe, because the second toe is where the gallbladder ends up as well. And then when you're ready, slide your hands along your mat and come down to the earth. Your eyebrow center resting directly on the earth or on a cushion or a folded blanket. Now take a moment here. I'm going to come into a threaded variation here. So let's lift that right arm up to the sky. Take your gaze up with you and thread the right arm underneath the left arm, underneath that, your body. Keep that left hand reaching up. You can come onto your forehead. You can stay on your forehead or come onto your right temple right here. I've got my index and thumb touching. Now here, I'm going to invite you to lift your left arm up. Now left arm can stay reaching up, or you can take it behind you and rest it on your lower back, or you can tuck it into your right, that fold between your right thigh and your abdomen. Now this right hand can stay on the earth, or you can use it and open up that left shoulder more towards the sky. So you can almost cup that left shoulder into the palm of your right arm. So you're going to be in different places here. Right arm extended underneath you, left hand reaching forward. Left arm reaching up towards the sky. Left hand on the back of the small of your back, or fingers folded between the fold of your thigh and your abdomen on the right side. You can also bring your right hand to cup your left shoulder so that you can keep reaching up towards the sky with that left shoulder, really coming into a twist here. And thinking about where you can feel this. So we're working here deeply at the organ, the gallbladder and the liver organ in this twist. Pressing the big toe into the earth. Sense this, the shifting of the energy in you. Here with the open heart, you're inviting the sun to gather in its light, to gather in its strength. One more breath here. Then release that left shoulder if you're holding it and bring that right hand back towards you. With care, release your left arm. Reach up to the sky if it's not already, and then bring it back down to the earth. Turn onto your eyebrow center, slide your right arm out, extend it long. And take a moment here with both hands on the earth. I'm going to go to the other side in a moment, but not quite yet. Now, lift your head and bring your hands together. You can interlace your fingers. You can bring them into that Kali Mudra that you know I like, where you have your fingers interlaced, your index extended, thumb crossed. And you're on your forearms here. Your forearms can be on the earth, or they can be on a cushion or bolster. So, pardon me, you could have this option as well. Sorry, Pepper, I disturbed you. Now, the left leg, we're going to extend it out to the side. So keep that right leg folded and extend the left leg directly out to the side. So I'm going to turn around so you can see what it would look like, what I'm doing with my foot. In fact, I can remove the bolster. Don't really need that. Don't need my belt today. So I have my forearms on the earth or on my bolster. My right knee is still folded in as if I'm in child's pose, and my left leg extended out. Now you can turn the sole of your foot towards the earth, or you can keep on the inside edge, the big toe side of your foot. Keep reaching out through that leg. And you can feel an extension here along the inside. Now the gallbladder meridian travels along the outside of your leg. So here on the right side where we're tucked into child's pose with that leg, that's where we're stimulating the gallbladder. Not here for long. And you can have that a soft bend in that knee. Remember, the higher up you are, if you happen to be on your pillow or bolster, you might give your leg a little bit more space, a little bit more room. Your right leg, if you feel like the weight is shifting onto your right leg, reach out through the left toes. That will just realign your hips and pelvis and shift the weight back central. If your knee really begins to feel it underneath your right knee, and you find that your leg is going to sleep, wiggle your toes, and you can always release your leg and come up a little bit higher. We're not here for very long, another couple of breaths, and then we're going to release. Now lift your eyebrow center if you've got your head down and slide in this left foot. And we're going to extend the other leg now, which will be a very welcome release for that right leg. So slide out the right foot and extend it long on the mat. And remember, you can be on the inside edge of your big toe side, or you can bring your little toe towards the other. It won't completely connect with the toe because unless you have a bend in your knee. So take your time here. Your forearms are on your pillow, your bolster, or directly on the earth. So really imagining that your feet, your toes are the roots of the trees and plants. So nourishing yourself from the roots up. As you rise up towards the light of the spring, embracing the spring sun. And this is how we can witness both within ourselves and within the natural world, how we feel alive when we have this sense of energy, when we feel a sense of renewed hope and joy. One more breath here. And then with care, lift up your eyebrow center and then bring that right leg in. If the left leg is beginning to feel a little sore, because we're going to go back into child's pose again, you can always release your foot and rotate your ankles. So we're still back in child's pose because we want to do our twist over to the right here. So let's reach up with the left arm after you've brought in your left leg. And fold that left arm underneath you. Right arm extended for the moment in front of you. You're on your left shoulder, left ear, left temple perhaps, or you can stay on your eyebrow center, yogi's choice. But I find twisting the full length of my spine here feels more comfortable for me. Now when you're ready, you can reach up into the sky with your right hand. You can bring the right hand to the small of your back, or you can tuck your right fingers into the fold between the thigh and your abdomen. And with your left hand, keeping it there, or cup your right shoulder with your left hand and open up the right shoulder up towards the sky. So that you're supporting your shoulder with your palm, the heel of your hand. We're not here for long because I know you've been working pretty hard here. One more breath here, then release that left arm, left hand from your right shoulder, release your right fingertips And reach up and over and bring that right arm to the earth. Lift your left arm out from underneath you. Come onto your knees. Bring your knees underneath your hips, forearms on the earth here. And we're going to walk our knees away so that we come onto our abdomen here and come into Sphinx. So remember, the further away your elbows from your shoulders, the wider they are, the more space you create in your lower back so that it doesn't feel so intense. And you can take your elbows out to the side. You can lower your chest towards the earth. You can bring your hands to rest on top of each other and bring your eyebrow center down towards your tops of your hands. So that all depends on how your lower back feels. And remember, we're all in different places here. We'll just be here for a few breaths. We're not staying here for very long in Sphinx or Maclus crocodile. So we're still working on our hips and our inner legs, working on the gallbladder and the meridian and the outer legs. Now, we're going to bring the left leg up into an H. So stay on your forearms or with your elbows out and bring that left knee up so that your left ankle and your left knee and your left hip are parallel, or as close to parallel as you can get them, so they're all aligned. And you can stay up on your forearms, or you can come down to the earth and rest your eyebrow center on the backs of your hands. Yogi's choice here. So this is half frog. And I read this beautiful paragraph in a poem. I went down to mingle my breath with the breath of the cherry blossom. And I just thought that was beautiful. I went down to mingle my breath with the breath of the cherry blossoms. And where I walk my dogs on the common, there are so many blossom trees. And as you walk past them, the scent just fills you. Such a beautiful scent. So I often look quite strange when I'm walking my dogs. I suddenly stop in the middle of a path and just breathe in deeply. But this sense of the mingling breath with the spring blossom. One more breath here. So if you're on your forearms, let's bring your eyebrow center to the backs of your hands. Take your elbows out wide and release that left leg long. Maybe you shake out your hips from left to right slightly. And then when you're ready, bend into your right knee and bring your right knee so it's parallel to your hip, and your knee and your ankle of the right foot are in alignment. And again, you have the option of here of staying up on your forearms or coming closer to the earth. And you can really feel your working into your liver here. And honestly, if after this practice you don't feel as if you've shed some old bark and not seen new growth, keep practicing it. Do it as many times as you need. Do the tapping, the pressing of liver 3 on that place in your foot, tapping on the ribs. All around us, the blossom flurries down, whispering. Be patient, you have an ancient beauty. All around us, the blossoms flurry down, whispering. Be patient, you have an ancient beauty. And that makes me think of Astara. Astara. Pagan beliefs the wheel of the year and how the year is marked out at these points, at these quarter points, midpoints. And the idea that we can synchronize and harmonize with the cycles of nature helps us to structure the time ahead, helps us to ground down into where we are, especially when each day might seem the same when you're in lockdown. But taking the time to look out of your window, to observe nature, or to observe nature closely when you're on your walk, you begin to notice the change. On my walk in the common, which is grazing land for sheep in the Middle Ages, and there are just small groups of daffodils just randomly amongst the tall grass. And I wonder, how did those daffodils find their way onto this land that's been as it is for centuries? One more breath here in your half frog. And then let's slide that right leg down, come down onto your, take your elbows as wide as your mat, bring your eyebrows center down onto the backs of your hands, and let's just soften here for a while. Take a few breaths here. And visualizing in your mind's eye your spring flowers, spring blossom, the sound, the bird song, the woodpeckers in the trees, the squirrels and hedgehogs coming out of their hibernation. The natural world awakening. And allow that awakening to beat with the rhythm of your heart, the flow of your energy. From here, we're going to roll onto our side. So let's roll onto our left side first. I'm going to turn around so that you can see me. So roll onto your left side, left hip, and come onto your left forearm. And let's bend into our knees. Now, if you're, like for me, my hip doesn't feel great here because it's a bit bony at the moment. So you might want to place a blanket here underneath your hip, because if it's especially if it's a bit bonier, and then it can feel a little bit uncomfortable. What we're going to do here, stay on your forearm for a moment and begin to bring the top leg knee towards you, and begin to take the bottom leg, so which is my left leg, behind you, and then try and reach towards your left foot. And then wherever you are, however you are, you can either stay up on your forearm, or you can come all the way down onto your left side here and keep reaching for that foot. So this lower leg, the one on the underside, the heel is quite close to you. And then gradually pace yourself here. And if you wish, you can turn your heart. I'm going to have to let Piero in. He's scratching at the door. So I'm taking hold of my left toe, and I'm going to come down onto my back here. So my left shoulder is on the earth here. And then gradually I'm going to turn my right shoulder so that it begins to lower towards the earth, and I'm gazing up. Now my top leg, I can rest my left hand on the outside edge of my right knee, or I can extend that right leg long. This is cat's tail. So remember, you can be in different places here. You can be on your side with your arms supporting you, your hands supporting you, and you can still extend that top leg, or you might come down onto your shoulders, your shoulder blades, and turn your heart up. And if you wish, depending on how much space you have, this left hand can either rest on your top leg, or you can reach for the big toe of that leg. So I'm holding onto both my toes here, but only if that feels within reach. You could just simply be energetically reaching for your toes, because that energetically, that's the force field that you're creating here. So even if I let go of my toes, it doesn't feel any different for me in my legs. I'm still having the same experience, whether I'm holding onto my toe or not. I just like to have an extra opportunity to press the big toes. And you can really feel your hips working here. So you can feel the gallbladder meridian. You can also feel the urinary bladder meridian that runs along the back of your legs here as well. So there's an added bonus of stimulating other meridians. Well, we're obviously focusing our energy on the liver and the gallbladder because of the season we're in, spring. You can close your eyes. Take a few moments here. So cat's tail pose always seems a little bit complicated to come into. But essentially you're lying on your side and your top knee comes towards you. The bottom foot comes towards your sit bones. And then you can lower onto your left shoulder blade. You can turn your heart up towards the sky. So you can really feel a twist at your abdomen here. Let's have 3 more breaths here. And cat's tail. And if you're holding onto your toes or your feet or anywhere in your legs, release your hands. And begin to roll back onto your left side. Bend into your top knee. Bend into both knees, and just let's lie here for a moment on our left side. Both our knees are resting on top of each other. I'm resting my head into the crook of my arm here. Sort of sleeping baby. Before we turn to the other side. So for you, you simply roll onto your back. Let's hug in the knees. Let's take hold of the big toes or the feet by taking the arms through the middle, or perhaps putting your hands on the back of your thighs. Just come into happy baby for a moment. So a very simple happy baby. You don't need to do the double wraps or anything like that. Just hands on the back of your thighs, outside edges of your feet or your big toes. 3 breaths here. And we're going to now let go of our feet. And we're going to roll over onto the right hip here. So roll over onto the right hip. And prop up your right forearm. So coming onto your elbow here like you're sunbathing. You're on your right side here. So your knees are folded here. So remember the top leg, knee of the top leg oops, excuse me. Knee of the top leg comes up towards you. And the bottom leg, which is your right leg, take that right foot further behind you and reach for it with your left hand. So you might take hold of one part of your foot, or you might not be able to reach it all together, and that's fine. And when you're here and you're ready, you'll notice that you'll begin to roll onto your right shoulder blade. And so if you're happy to do that, come down onto the earth, onto your right shoulder blade. Open out that left shoulder and keep reaching for that left foot. Now your right knee is on top. You can rest your right hand on the top of that right knee. You can also extend out your right leg, depending on how much space you have, and have that leg extended. Take hold of your foot. I'll turn around so I can see you. That right leg can be extended out. You can keep a bend in it. Yogi's choice. So you're basically, your legs are in a sort of a zigzag. If you have both knees bent, you can have your right leg extended, and you can reach for your toes. Closing your eyes. I went down to mingle my breath with the breath of the cherry blossom. The apple blossom. Perhaps you have tulips and hyacinths. Perhaps the crocus. All the spring colors, yellows, pinks, white, purples. And know that spring is a time for renewal, for rebirth. At that point in which you have come into equilibrium between two seasons, between light and dark, between night and day, between winter and spring. An opportunity to release and let go so that you can flow with ease and grace. Take a full breath in, and with care, releasing and letting go of your toes or any part of your body that you're holding with your hands. And let's begin to fold in the knees so that you're lying on your right side here in sleeping baby, using the crook of your right arm to hold your head. And then with care, rolling onto your back, hugging in both your knees for a moment. Preparing yourself for your Shavasana. So extending your legs, perhaps you place a block or a pillow underneath your knees. Covering yourself with your blanket, putting on some extra layers. knowing that this is your time for Shavasana. And I invite you to stay in Shavasana for at least 5 minutes beyond the class. All around us, the blossoms flurry down, whispering, "Be patient. You have an ancient beauty." And spring is the time in which this beauty comes to flourish, to blossom. Closing your eyes, softening with your breath, allowing your breath to mingle. And when you choose to rise from your Shavasana, closing your time by chanting Om Shanti 3 times. Peace, peace, peace. Dhanyavad. Thank you for joining me.